Today one of my best friends said to someone, "You won't be laughing when your dick is in my mouth." When have you heard someone hilariously mess up an insult? In high school, we played several matches against an all-guys school that was consistently one of the best teams in the state. We routinely got our asses whooped. But at least we were a co-ed school. We always operated under the juvenile assumption that they were all homosexuals because they went to school with just a bunch of dudes. Last hole of a match. Last groups coming in. Bunch of us just standing around. Dude from all guys school is giving his Gatorade bottle a rim job when one of his teammates, just joking around, hits one of his golf balls into the woods. He stops rimming to yell at his teammate, "Go get that or I'm going to fuck you in the ass." We just kind of looked around like, it is true. Double quote. More of a failed pickup line. A friend just learned the line, "How much does a polar bear weigh?" Enough to break the ice. "Hi, I'm," insert name here. It's a cute line. Except when he tried it on a girl and said, "How much do you weigh?" Enough to break the ice. "Hi, I'm," insert name here. It's a cute line. Except when he tried it on a girl and said, "How much do you weigh?" I was about 19 when I did this. I was working at a produce delivery company at the time. We had a certain arsehole chef that I had to deal with every day on my route. Well, one night, guess who arrives at my house to deliver my Domino's pizza? I was so tickled that I finally could get this guy back and give him a quarter for a tip. The next morning when I clocked in at 4 AM, I couldn't wait to tell all the guys about it. How I said it was, "Hey guys, guess what? I totally put it in Alan's ass last night." Double quote. Why I worded it like that, I have no idea. Hey, it was 4 AM. I'm still close friends with some of those former co-workers. So of course, that story is still retold around the campfire. We were on Ventrilo. You know, being nerds, and our one friend accidentally coughed on the mic. Someone responded with something along the lines of, "What, are you choking on some chocolate there?" Lol, fat jokes, and the guy that was coughing immediately responded with, "No, I'm choking on your mom's dick." Double quote. We all had a good laugh from that one. Not quite the same, but my wife tends to mess up certain phrases. One day I asked her opinion and she said 6.5 dozen of the other. I asked if she had any idea what she was saying. Lol. Not an insult, but the other night in bed, pillow talk, trying to get my girl in the mood. She reminded me, "Weren't you going to go play on the PC?" So I said something like, "I'm so in the mood for video games that I can easily postpone any hot steamy intimacy," only realizing I got my intentions backwards. Very similarly, while starting a game of Halo 2, my friend, in a very intense voice, advised us that we're going to totally deep throat these guys. Edit. You're all secretly gay. When will the homoerotic threats end? I'm not sure if this is the same, but my brother and I were saying "That's what she said" to everything while in the car with my mom. My mom tried, but didn't understand the sexual innuendos of it. So then later that day we were eating giant burritos and I said, "I don't think I can fit it in my mouth." Daddy says it's too big. And my mom yells, "That's what I said." Needless to say, my brother and I cracked up while my mom sat there wondering if she had said the joke in the right context. She clearly had. I have heard myself mess this one up. After a zinger, I make a stupid reply. They countered with "Nice comeback," which is the phrase I was fishing for. I had the perfect one-liner, so I all smugly retort if I wanted a comeback, I'd scrape the roof of my mouth. Dio. Your mouth. Double quote. Spontaneously combusts from turning so red. Two great ones from the same friend. 1. While trying to sing Chef's song from South Park, he belted out, "Put M in my mouth and suck M." 2. While trying to drunkenly seduce his GF before we all left the bar, he said, "Why don't you give my mouth a dick hug?" Instead of Rain X, a friend of mine said he needed to go put some bead off on his windshield because he couldn't remember the correct name. Then realized what it really sounded like he just said. A friend of mine was yelling at her BF on the phone while the rest of us sat there awkwardly trying not to listen. In the middle of the conversation she yells, "Jimmy, I swear to God I will fuck your face," and hung up on him. It was silent for a second and we all looked at each other and started cracking up. Finally she goes, "What in the fuck did I even just say?" Haha, still funny every time I think about it. Over the weekend me and some friends were playing Mario Party. One friend in particular was doing really badly and getting frustrated. And my roommate was kicking everyone's asses. My friend that's losing gets so flustered that he blurts out, "Nathan," with my last dying breath, "I'm going to fuck you." It was awkward, then everyone died laughing. When I was in high school, my friends and I were making some pretty normal "your mom" jokes after finding a picture of one friend's mom from when she was in her 20s. The friend became a little upset, all of a sudden responded, "Oh, yeah? Well, I pissed in your mom." Double quote. From that day forward, we all has a much stranger sense of humor. One night me and friends were playing Taboo. It's a game where you have a card with a word that you have to get your teammates to guess, but you cannot use any of the taboo words that are also listed on the card, so you are forced to come up with creative ways for people to guess certain words, as the most obvious ones will be taboo. My roommate, a guy, was having some difficulty in the game and wasn't enjoying it a whole lot. He was saying how the game was stupid and he tried to suggest other activities. But we all wanted to play or just drink really. We tried to come up with some type of drinking rule but just ultimately failed and just kept drinking what we had anyway. My friend, girl, is getting annoyed with my roommate trying to suggest other things just because he wasn't great with the game and proceeds to tell him, "Shut the hell up, or I'm gonna suck your cock." Double quote. We all pause and stare for a second. I say, "Wait, what did you say?" And all laughed for about the next 10 minutes as her insult just totally was reversed on her. Oddly enough, I found out later my roommate had a crush on my friend for a long time and ended up dating her for about a year. When my twin brother and I were about 10, we were playing tennis at the local park. Two older guys came up and threw us off the court so they could play. As we were walking away, my brother was getting angrier and began to yell at them, "You probably fuck a girl every night." Double quote. They laughed, which only pissed my brother off more. "You probably fuck a girl every night all night." They laughed even louder and yelled back, "Thank you." Double quote. I tried to explain to him that he was not insulting them. He was complimenting them. He didn't believe me and kept yelling the same thing. Those dudes were laughing their asses off. The joke, "I may be drunk, but you're ugly, and I'll be sober in the morning," is a little hard to get out correctly when you're completely shit-faced. Came out as "I'm drunk but I'm ugly," followed by the awkward silence and slow realization of what was actually said. I'll never live it down. Edit. Remembered another. But it wasn't said by me. In boot camp, our male RDC came in shouting at all the females that had failed our second PRT, that if they didn't get their shit together by the time we took the final one, he would tap that ass. Our female RDC burst out laughing and had to pull him into the office to explain it. It was very hard to stand at attention and hold back the laughter. When I was in high school, I was at a good friend's house. He used to argue with his mom all the time. About anything and everything. They were arguing about something dumb. What we were going to eat maybe. He got so frustrated, he balled his fist up and yelled, "Mom, if you don't just shut up right now, I'm going to fist you." Double quote. My other buddy and I fell to the floor immediately laughing. His mom was clueless. He didn't even realize until a few minutes later. This was so good that just yesterday I called him just to say, "Remember when you threatened to fist your own mother?" This event happened 15 years ago. I'm driving in Las Vegas with my buddy when I see some douchebags. I say some lame joke that wasn't funny at all, and he follows it up brilliantly. Me. "Those fuckers need to get a job." My buddy. "I'll give those fuckers a job. A fucking blow job." Double quote. I just sat there a couple seconds and was like, "Do you realize what you just said, dude?" He was turning red already. He knew exactly what he said. It was amazing. I once walked up to a bartender and, completely sober, Ordered a ruble Dum and Coke. Also my friend who's a composer had a teacher who wanted the class to compose a short little ditty. Except it came out, please write me a shitty little dort. I'm surprised that none of my arsehole friends have yet commented about the time when I yelled, with all sincerity in my voice, that I will cut your dick off with my teeth. And it will be on the ground. Yeah. The kid it was intended for took the threat seriously and left us alone. But my friends to this day still bring that shit up. It was like 10 years ago. Guys. Let it go already. I suck at talking fast. Especially when I'm mad. Once my brother called me Mike Cock. My cock. First name Michael. Not a particularly great jab. I tried to respond by saying my full name was Mike I suck cock. Instead I said my middle name was You Suck because it didn't sound correct in my brain to say I suck cock. After a couple seconds I hear Mike You Suck cock. And I have never lived it down. Wasn't an insult. But I feel compelled to share. One of my friends is a 6 feet 2 inches guy with full, manly facial hair, very cut muscles, and enough testosterone to feed a small army. Also, straight as an arrow, is currently dating a NFL cheerleader, while sitting in our friend's dorm room, with country music playing. He pipes up with this gem. Man. If I were a country singer, I would get so much dick. Double quote. Immediate realization followed by extreme embarrassment. Priceless. My friend was about to get into a fight with a much larger guy than him outside a downtown bar. He was wavering side to side pretty drunk when he blurted out, "I've sucked bigger dicks than you." Everyone laughed and the fight was avoided. When I was in 6th grade I rode the bus to middle school. Way the fuck out in the country. Me and this kid would sit together. And in the seat in front of us was this big angry 8th grader. Well, one day my friend pissed him off so bad the guy turns around and yells, "If you don't stop messing with me, I'm gonna choke your chicken." Everyone on the bus immediately stops what they were doing. Dead silence. You could hear pin drop. Everyone is looking at this guy who has just worked himself into a frothing fit of rage and yelled out in anger that he is going to vigorously jerk off the kid in the seat behind him. Nearly 10 years ago, a friend of mine was describing a nefarious plot he had. No clue anymore what he was planning on doing. But it was evil. I started to say 2 different things and what ended up coming out was, "How do you sleep with yourself?" instead of "How do you live with yourself?" or "How do you sleep at night?" The friend, without missing a beat, replied, "Well, first I take myself out to a nice dinner and a show." Double quote. Some friends of mine were on a road trip to Boston, pre-Big Dig, and one of them was fond of saying "balls in your mouth." He also had a PA on his car. So, they are stuck in traffic, barely moving for hours and hours. Some guy starts cutting into the lane in front of them when it starts moving, so my friend screams, "Balls in my mouth" on the PA. In traffic that is practically standing still. A dumb friend of mine was actually trying to compliment a girl to her face and said, "You are as hot as a dick." I could not believe he said that. I just stood there for a moment with a blank look on my face, as anyone with an earshot did. Then I began to laugh, patted him on the back, shook my head and walked away. I know this doesn't comply really well with the OP, but I think it can still hold some ground here. My friends and I make stupid comments just to fill time. You take something from what the person originally said and try to make it insulting. Someone says, "I'm gonna go grab a towel," someone would inevitably reply with, "You're a towel," just stupid things. Anyways, this one time we were playing poker and I started winning, so I said, "Well boys, looks like I'm ahead now." I had just won a lot of money on the previous hand against my friend, who then bitterly replied, "I'll give you head." The rest of us just look at each other and start uncontrollably laughing. In college I was teaching my class about verbs by constructing a rap song. After someone suggested rhyming would withstood, I reminded them that verbs are things you can do. And somehow I said, "I'm kind of wooden right now." The class, including my hot teacher, cracked up and I had to try like the dickens to keep my composure. Not really an insult, but here we go. A few friends and I went camping and brought some dollar store tiki torches along. It was cold that night and the ground was hard, so we were having a hard time getting the torches in the ground. One friend got his fully in the ground and sat down. Another friend asked, how did you do that? Friend 1 replies, you just stick it in, and without thinking friend 2 says, stick it in my ass. Double quote. When I was about 15, before I had a car, my grandma picked my friends and I up from the local pizza place. We thought it would be funny to tease my grandma by just being loud and turning the radio up, because it was funny to overwhelm her or whatever. Anyway, we tried to get her to speed out of the parking lot and she replied with, I can't, my balls are tired. She meant to say I can't, my tires are bald. We're still laughing about it to this day. She also coined the phrase, none fish and noodles. Tuna fish and noodles. That's something I've adopted and is in heavy rotation on my list of phrases. Back in my Halo 2 days, I had a friend start talking shit to the other team. Started teabagging someone's corpse, then yelled, yeah that's right. Your balls. My chin. The realization slowly dawned over him and he spent the rest of the match chasing the enemy team yelling I meant the other way around. I still give him shit for it by yelling that famous line in arguments. This will most likely get buried, but I was in high school and was talking to some college girl on the phone. She said something as a joke and I meant to reply with either I'm gonna knock you out or I'm gonna beat you up. Essentially, I replied with a very assertive I'm gonna knock you up. Double quote. Face. Meat hand. One day on a car ride, my father was fuming mad at me and my sister for some reason I cannot recall. I think he tried to start off with settle down, but decided to change it at the last second as he yelled at us in the car to sack it off. We all burst into laughter and 25 years later we still say it to each other randomly. One time, I was in my college dorm room playing Xbox Live with my friends from back home and my roommate kept making fun of me for playing like shit. I have quite the temper while losing in any competitive game, so fed up, I shouted, I'll slap your ass. My friends from back home still bring it up to this day. I worked with a couple of guys in an open environment with tons of people around. One messed with the other all the time, calling him a dick. One day he called him a pussy and the other guy in a really loud voice says I prefer dick, thank you. I was like, good to know. And laughter ensued. Not me, but a friend heckling current MLB player Andre Ethier when he was a member of the Modesto Nuts. Said friend was just giving it to him all day. Andre gets tired of it and says, you want to come to my BBQ? Your nuts on my grill. I mean, my nuts on your grill. The damage had already been done and the insults kept coming to him. A year or so later, Ethier is up with the A's and doing autographs. My friend is at said game with a sign that says, hey Andre, want to come to my BBQ? Double quote. Either looks right at him, then skips to the next fan waiting for an autograph, lol. Funny thing is that either ended up getting traded to said friend's favorite team. One of my friends was making a fun of this other friend. One quick insult after the other and we were all laughing at him. He was obviously starting to get annoyed but had nothing to reply as the insults were coming too fast. When my first friend stopped for a couple of seconds, this guy got up very determined with a reply and screamed blah blah blah. We still have no idea what he wanted to say, but the whole thing came out in a jumbled mess and we spent the rest of the night making fun of him for that. An aunt of mine is natively from the Philippines and has a son a year older than me. I stayed with their family most summers and got to hear gems whenever my cousin screwed up something. For your information, she pronounces it sharply as beach. Aunt to my cousin, you son of a bitch. Mom, you just called yourself a bitch. Don't you call me bitch. You are bitch. Mom, I am your son. If you call me a son of a bitch, that means you are calling yourself a bitch. I am not bitch. Act. Nothing was funnier at 13-14 than hearing your aunt incorrectly use dirty whore for anything that looked unclean. That t-shirt is a dirty whore. Put it in the laundry. Double quote. One time a friend and I were playing around and yelling things that we were better at than the other during class. It went a little something like this. Me. I bet I'm better at football than you. Him. I bet I'm better at math than you. Me. I bet I'm better at getting girls than you. Him. I bet I'm better at sucking dick than you. Double quote. At this moment the class decided to quiet down collectively and create one of the more awkward silences I have ever experienced in my life. The teacher finished it off with "I bet you do," and then dismissed us for lunch. Sort of related. I was playing Modern Warfare 2 and was in an area on the map was a dead end. So no one should have been able to get behind me. There hadn't been anyone back there. So it was a shock when I'm suddenly gunned down from behind and see 3 enemy players on the kill cam. In my surprise and anger, I exclaimed to everyone on my team, "Damn it. 3 guys just came up my ass," implying they spawned behind me and killed me when I should have been safe. But alas, that is not how it came across, as the rest of my team burst out laughing. He didn't do it on his own, but I turned the diss around on a friend once. Friend. Talking to some guy. So I wound up getting a box of condoms with non-sequential serial numbers on them. Guy. Condoms have serial numbers? Friend. Yeah. I guess you've never seen them because you have to roll them out all the way. Implying that guy has a short dick. Me. Don't worry. Friend only found out after one rubbed a raw spot on his upper lip. Whole party explodes. This reminds me of Gloria from Modern Family. Mitchell. I thought you said hair rings, referring to earrings. Gloria. I called your secretary and told her to order you a box of baby Jesus. Secretary though she said baby Jesus. Gloria. It's like Christian Science reading room, science. Gloria driving kids to school. We're going to the dropout Manny. She means drop off. Gloria. How do you say in English the ticka 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 J? Helicopter. Gloria. The last thing Manny needs on his first day of school is you undermelting his confidence, undermining. Gloria driving kids to school. And a gargle is a gargle Manny. She means gargoyle. Gloria. We can be even like a Steven. Gloria. Oh, I get it when I say look, it sounds like Luke. Something similar happened to me. I was with 2 of my friends crossing a small street. Not many cars passing there. Of course we look both ways and cross at a normal speed. Some guy in a car who was quite far from us starts accelerating and nearly missing me. He starts honking. I can't remember what I said, but was something like, "Oh shut up. Dot." He heard me and made a U-turn coming back. He stopped in front of us, lowered the window and said, "What's the matter buddy? You have a problem? I take all your dicks in my mouth." And then I think he realized what he just said because he just made another U-turn and left. This isn't a really a messed up attempt at an insult, but it's pretty funny all the same. Some buddies and I were staying at a hotel in Ottawa to check out the nightlife in the capital. We'd go for a swim in the pool, which is on a mid-level floor of the hotel. Our rooms were on the top floor. As we head back up to the room, this happened. Elevator attendant. Going up? My shirtless, heterosexual buddy. I'd much rather be going down. Rest of the way up was incredibly awkward for the poor guy. To this day my buddy has never offered an explanation of what the hell he meant to say. Also, for some reason this was my first ever comment on Reddit. "You can just fuck my ass," an amalgamation of "you can just kiss my ass" and "you can just fuck off." A mate's folks were out of town and we were drinking at his place. Many years ago. One guy slammed the front door so hard the fancy stained glass broke and tumbled to the ground. Saying to the host, "You'll have to fix that before your folks get home." Host responds, trying to explain he doesn't agree with where the responsibility lies and that the guest is no longer welcome at said party. When I was about 14, there was this gag line going around my class where you'd come back from the bathroom having just washed his hands and wipe the liquid off onto somebody while casually saying, "Don't you hate it when you pee on your hands?" Which was apparently hilarious to a 14-year-old. Anyway, one day the class idiot thought he'd get in on the fun. So after a bathroom trip he went up to my best friend, wiped his damp hands on him and shouted, "Don't you just hate IT when you piss on your face?" Double quote. We still laugh about it sometimes. Playing some Counter-Strike 1.6. And I said over the mic, "That makes me gay." I really meant that makes you gay, but it just came out wrong. I ran with it, as the guy I said it to was just berating people, calling them fags, etc. So I just kept going saying, "Yeah, I'm gay. I'll suck your dick for $1. And other BS like that until he got frustrated and rage quit. Basically I just kept talking over him, telling him I wanted his dick until he got really frustrated that his insults didn't bother me. It was his annoying voice and insistence on insulting anything that moved that bothered me. Right when he leaves. Yeah, I'm not gay, he was just a huge fag. Just last week I had an employee in my office to have a discussion. This person tends to display slightly germophobic habits, which he denies. For some reason we got on the topic of him being a germphobe and he stated that this was not so. He then said, reaching towards my door handle, "What do you want me to do to prove that I am not a germphobe? Lick your knob?" I started laughing immediately. He got a look of confusion on his face for about 10 seconds. At which point realization of what he said happened and he turned cherry red. Now whenever he busts someone's balls, I ask him, "What are you going to do? Lick his knob?" Double quote.